Check out GSHLFootball.com for more. The Fan Postgame Scoreboard Show continues on ESPN Sports Radio 1080 The Fan.
Got to give Bryan Levesque from GSHL Football his proper introduction. He's been up there at McKenzie Stadium. Do they have a bronze throne for you out there? You're there every weekend, Bryan.
They definitely do, Jason.
Well, you were witnessing what turned into a couple of blowouts. You told us earlier Mountain View had their way with Hudson's Bay. In the evening, it was Union and Evergreen. Union now up to 8th in the latest AP poll. And the Titans looking the very part for their potential showdown with Skyview.
Yeah, they looked really good tonight. In fact, to start off the game, Evergreen drove all the way down to the Union 10, went 9 yards, and looked like they were going to put up a fight for the whole night. And then they ended up missing a field goal. And then our man up here, Zach Browning, goes one play, 80 yards for a touchdown, pretty much set the tone for the whole night. And then, yeah, they ended up rolling. Browning ended up with 2 rushing touchdowns and a 45-yard reception for a touchdown. Final score 48-0. Evergreen put up the biggest fight they could, and Union was about as sloppy as they could be in the first half. It still led 28-0, and then went on to win 48-0. So they're a pretty good football team.
Now, as they're looking for Skyview, who took their time with Columbia River tonight, this is for everything. This more than just winning the GSHL and the playoff seeding and the way the crossovers work. Is there a distinct, how much of an advantage is it for the team to be the number 1 seed out of the 4A division of the GSHL this year?
Well, it's huge this year, Jason, because the winner will get 3 home games in the playoffs, which gets you all those. So you would get 3 home games, and then that would put you, the 4th game would be the semifinals, which everybody plays in the Tacoma Dome. So you basically do not have to play at anybody's field. So you have ultimate home field advantage, while our second-place team has to go up and play the loser of next week's game between number 1 Skyline and number 3 Bothell. And Bothell's only loss was to Mission Viejo in the opening weekend up at Quest Field. So even if Union loses this game to Skyview, they are going to have a tough time beating either Bothell or Skyline. So huge difference, 3 home games versus going on the road and probably getting bounced in the first round.
Who's, is Skyview equipped? They had a 48-13 win over Columbia River, but it was slow. They pulled away late in that one at Kiggins Bowl. Who's more equipped to deal with the other team?
I think Union actually is more equipped just because of their running game with Browning and Brody Heim. But I still think either's going to have a harder time. Skyview has the playmakers. I mean, they have Ellis Henderson, Riley Henderson, Kier McDonough, their quarterback, and they also have Parker Henry, who's just went over 1,000 yards for the season, 3 more touchdowns put him. He's got 15 rushing touchdowns on the year. So he's right actually ahead of Browning. He has about 50 more carries than Browning does. But they got a strong running game along with their passing game. Again, Kier McDonough, just in the first half, was 8 of 8 for 167 yards and 4 passing touchdowns, most of that coming in the third quarter or the second quarter as they trailed 13-7 early. But defensively, Union is much better. Again, they put up the 0 today. They haven't given up. They gave up a field goal to Battleground, but their defense, again, hasn't given up a touchdown since that game you had in Week 3 against Westview in the second quarter. So I think if Union had to go up there and play a Bothell or a Skyline, they're better defensively, and they can run the ball. Their thing is, they tried to throw the ball a lot against Evergreen tonight, and they made some plays, but you would think against a 1-7 Evergreen team, you would hope they'd be better passing the ball. So that concerns me. But Skyview has given up a lot of points this season, which that concerns me for them going up and playing a team with Cason Williams in Skyline, if that's who they had to play, or the running game of Bothell. So again, whoever wins the game this week at 8 o'clock at McKenzie Stadium upcoming this Friday is going to be huge. I think either of them can make that run and get to the Tacoma Dome in the semifinals, where I think the loser's probably one and done.
Now, the 3A level, still the Camas Invitational. They take apart Fort Vancouver tonight, 63-zip. But Kelso, more importantly, gutted out a victory over Prairie, leaving the option next week, or the outcome, if they can pull an upset at Camas, that would throw things into chaos because you'd have a three-way tie, assuming Mountain View takes care of business. First of all, does Kelso have any chance whatsoever? And two, if they do, how do they break that tie?
Well, the logical answer is no. Obviously they do, but they don't. But if for some reason they were to do it, they have a good defensive back and they shut down Prairie. Prairie scored a touchdown with about 18 seconds to go, so that they held them in check, and Prairie has the second-best passing game in the league up here. So, I mean, they had 11 interceptions on the season coming in. Of course, Logan Grindy was 11 for 14 for 210 yards and 4 touchdown passes in the first half against Fort Vancouver, who's not a very good defense. But they're going to need to shut them down. The problem is, even if they were to shut down Grindy, then they would have to deal with Zach Marshall, who had another 2 rushing touchdowns tonight, which puts him at like 17 on the season, and he's got about 700 rushing yards. I don't see them being able to shut down both of those. And Camus's defense, while they didn't give him any points tonight in a 63-0 win, they've given up some points before, but Kelso can't throw the football, and they're just Mountain View made Kelso look really slow, and Camus made Mountain View look slow. So you do the math. I think they're going to have a really hard time. But if something's going to happen, they're going to need to get interceptions on defense and run them back for touchdowns, and get Camus in a funk early and they maybe have 3 or 4 interceptions run back for touchdowns. I don't know. I think that's the only way they can win the game.
So, okay, if the miracle happens, or say it's a downpour and a deluge and something like that, turnovers all over the place, a 3-way tie where they've all beaten each other once, how does that work itself out?
Probably what they would have is somewhere either here at McKenzie or out at Battleground on the following Monday. They would get together and play like a Kansas tiebreaker, where it's a coin flip, and whoever's the winner of the coin flip would get a bye, and then the other 2 would play, and the loser's third, and the winner would play the team with the bye, and the winner would get the number 1 seed. And then if that happens, all of their games that would be first-round games that would be Friday, they'd move all those back to Saturday.
Now, looking more ahead, though, Camus seems to be the number 1 seed. They take care of business. How is their road to playing for a state championship look at the 3A level?
They actually have a pretty difficult road this year. We just came out with that stuff. It looks like they'll have either Seattle Prep in the first game, which is not very tough, or possibly Rainier Beach, a couple of teams out of the Metro again we talked about before. Mostly a basketball league. But if they win that game, again, they would have 3 home games, so that'd be home. But in that second game, which is technically the first round, they would then get number 4 ranked Juanita, who is 6-1, only lost to Bellevue. If they beat Juanita, then they would have 5th ranked Lakes, who again is a perennial team and seems to send 6 or 7 guys to the University of Washington every year. And then if they win that game in the semifinals, they would take on number 1 Bellevue. And then if they were to win that one, they'd have to play number 3 Capital in the finals. So, I mean, they would have to take on the number 4, number 5, number 1, number 3, and the only team not number 2 because they're number 2. So if they win a state championship this year, it will be deserved and earned.
GSHLFootball.com is where you can find all the information, as well as video from most of the games as well. Some 2A stuff. Congratulations to Hawkinson. The Hawks are on the board. They got a victory tonight, coming from behind to beat Woodland. So a lot of happy people up there. It's been a long year for both those schools.
Yeah, both of them. Hawkinson playing mostly freshmen at the varsity level, which is never good when you're a 2A school. And Woodland, just a bunch of new guys up on the line. But Hawkinson at home pulled out the 14-10 win. My only pick I didn't get, but obviously congratulations to them. Mark Morris got their first win over a team with a winning record when they hammered Washougal 50-13. And then R.A. Long took care of a 1-win Aberdeen team. So that sets up this weekend up in Longview, 7 o'clock at Memorial Stadium, 7-1 R.A. Long versus 5-3 Mark Morris. And again, the winner of that one, well, both of them have now clinched the top 2. So the winner will be the number 1 seed, and the loser's the number 2 seed. They both will have a home playoff game. So probably one will play Friday, one will play Saturday the week after. But they're going to have to play WF West and Centralia, who will finish second and third in the league. And WF West already beat Mark Morris 42-18, and Centralia already beat R.A. Long. That's their only loss. They beat them 48-14. So they both got them at home. But that's going to be a big game again for the city of Longview. Last year, the game was for the outright league championship, and it was the first time since 1987 that game had the championship on the line. So for Longview, a town that's struggling with jobs and stuff, all that, to have a second year in a row with both of your high schools, playing for the title, it's a pretty cool thing.
Bryan Levesque, GSHLFootball.com. We appreciate it. I'm assuming you will be at the Big 4A showdown next week, Skyview and Union, and we can get a full report.
Yep, I'll be here, and we'll have a guy out at the River Mountain View game and people over at Kelso. I think you said you'll be out at the Kelso-Camas game, but we'll be here for that's going to be a big game. It's obviously going to be the best game of the year. And to tell you the truth, I don't know who's going to win.
Well, we're looking forward to it. As always, we appreciate it. GSHLFootball.com. Final week of the regular season in Southwest Washington. Should be a fun one next week. Take care, Bryan.
Thanks, Jason.